I'm reading my own replies here. They're pretty funny. Oh, here we are. So this is a comment left by, if you've been on Tekken Saibatsu ever, you might know who Wooming is. Posts a lot. I think he's from Finland. He says a lot of things, right? So he's got a list here for me, which is pluses and minuses of the video, I think. There's one plus, which is acknowledge that some moves like Jin 442 hit jump. And even this plus, I think, is kind of entirely missing the point. Jin's 442 can totally whiff versus jumps as well. It depends on when you hit it. So that's weird. But this entire list, right, got somewhat, like, it got a lot of likes, you see, because it got 80 likes, which is kind of a lot on a video that only has like 10,000 views. So this got a lot of likes. I thought about it for a while because I'm like, oh, maybe some of these things are true, right? So I actually checked pretty much all of these, right? Some of these are kind of odd. Doesn't acknowledge general mid-evasion of jumping. Jump doesn't have general mid-evasion. I think that's a really odd statement to make because, well, sometimes he's really high up, and if you do like a downward one, the downward one obviously won't hit it because he's really high up, but he doesn't like generally evade mids. It's a very odd statement. But then he says, doesn't acknowledge that most moves that hit jump don't hit demon flip. This isn't true. It's kind of the same thing. If you're at the same frames, you're going to hit demon flip if you're going to hit jump. There's like super duper 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 specific. You might not, but like most moves that hit jump don't hit demon flip is a really, really weird statement. It's not true. Does acknowledge that 10 frame counter hit is uniquely fast. That's really odd because I do. So that's also false. So we're counting down here. We're like false, 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 false. Does acknowledge that 10 frame high crash counter hit is unique. I think this is maybe, if I'm being generous, I think this might be a point in some way. I mean, I obviously didn't respond to any claim about down 1-2, I think. But yeah, sure. I guess that's true. He has down 1-2. Okay. Doesn't acknowledge Akuma has jump and demon flip to go over get up moves after demon. So this one is interesting because, well, that doesn't really work. It's very hard for Akuma to jump over get up moves. I think he can jump over get up low, but not mid and not toe kick. So it's not good. Like that's not a thing that's going to happen a lot if people hit out. Akuma down for 3 can punish face up mid kick when close after demon, that is, I guess, generally speaking. It's a 12 frame mid. It's like a down for 4, but with 3. This isn't true. He can't do that. Like versus like Marduk and Gigas, he can if he dashes into them and guards. But why the f would you do that? That's f***ing moronic. So this is also straight up not true. Like someone just looked at a number that said 12 and said, okay, that's nice. Doesn't acknowledge forced clean hit mix-ups. I think this is also really odd because Akuma doesn't really have any forced clean hit mix-ups. Maybe outside of the wall, but I think it's pretty self-evident that you can't backdash out of a clean hit at the wall. So this is also just like someone saying something. You could say anything here. Doesn't acknowledge a thing that I don't prove exists. Doesn't acknowledge frame advantage also works for Akuma to force that clean hit mix-up. This also isn't true. Akuma can be +9 and you can still backdash. Like he can get +9 or +8 from jab or hit jump attack at specific angles. And that doesn't guarantee forced clean hit mix-up. So this is also factually untrue. Doesn't acknowledge the late timing change. We talked about this. This is what if fighting games. This argument is what if fighting games, so it's also dumb, right? So after I read this, I didn't really want to go on like a comment chain back and forth on YouTube. So because I'm at Tekken Saibatsu and I know who Wooming is, I talked to him a bit on Tekken Saibatsu. So basically I asked Wooming like, hey Woo, I just looked at these things and basically all of them are markedly untrue. How did you lab these? Am I labbing it wrong? Could you show me how you came to these conclusions? I asked Woo. And Woo Ming literally said, well, no, I don't want to waste my time labbing every point to make a counter video. So then I said, what? Like, that's a really shit place to start. So you're just making shit up. And then he just said, I just pointed out my criticisms. How? What? Like, that's like scary to me. Because I know, I mean, like, he thinks a lot about Tekken. He plays a lot of Tekken. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to post this list of things where I just made up most of it. Like, what? What the? What? All right. How can you engage with that as like a counterclaim? Because if I didn't look at this, if I just assumed that the arguments being made were true, I just assumed that Wu-Ming here was trying to be a good faith actor in the conversation, which is this video and the response, right? Then I'm just giving someone, they can make a blanket statement about something and I'm just like accepting it, and then we're arguing from very false premises. And it was so interesting to me to get that kind of response, because at least I think a lot of people are like, okay, I heard this from someone told me this thing. But having someone you see talk a lot about Tekken, like try to help people about Tekken, having someone like that just straight up go, no, I didn't lab it. I didn't want to look it up. Do you think I have time to do that? I just said things. It's kind of telling, I think, in like this kind of sphere of, okay, I'm criticizing people for saying things without data or any way to back it up. And then the response I get is the same kind of thing.